You know, it's lovely that so many of you have been following our antics here at the Moulin Hugo, so I thought it might be time to do a proper update. We arrived September last year, and I remember the day after doing a walking video of the place, so I thought I'd give you an update, starting at the beginning. So all this area here was covered in debris and dead trees, fallen trees, bonfires that had never been lit and have just been left for nature to take back. All this edge down here had trees on it fallen, which cut it all back, pretty much creating edges everywhere. There's still some remnants of debris that we've still got to get rid of. But probably one of the biggest things in this area was that from about here onwards, it was just bramble. So this section here, at least a third of it was big, thick, embedded bramble. You couldn't see the river, which is just here. You couldn't see any of this bank here. So we started the mammoth task of taking back this land. And as we did, we found all sorts of things. Essentially, the other side of the bramble had been used as a landfill dump thing. We found rubbish, car parts, chicken coops, you name it. It was all hidden behind this bramble here. But it's been quite amazing to watch the bramble go, all of this section here, and to see the ground recover and be able to see through the trees to the other side of the river, a view that we never had before. And it became a bit of a theme, creating views we'd never seen before. So there's been a massive amount of tree work along here. Andy's done a sterling job of cutting off limbs, making it easy for us to drive the tractor underneath, and generally making the place a lot more manageable. We've still got some more grass to grow back, but it will. We've kept a lot of the trees we like, but some have had to go. And as a consequence, we've created rather a lot of firewood. I'm going to do a separate film of the cottage renovation because so much has happened to it. And also there'll be some extra little films of our crazy rescue dogs. But for now, let's just focus on what happened outside after we got here. So the workshop, which is Andy's now, has had a makeover. So it's had a complete repaint. We've repurposed some of the cogs from the old mill, repainted the doors around the other side, repainted the shuttering as well. So I think it looks a lot better. We've also installed some paving stones in front of it because this whole area here was just a quagmire. And we couldn't really figure out why until we realised that all the way down the path on this side there should have been drainage and trenching, which has been mostly reinstated. We've got more to do. The pool project has been huge. So not least, Andy and our friend Andrew learning how to tile the roof using slates that we picked up second hand. So all the terracotta came off. That was a big job. Some really new skills. All been repainted, doors have been redone, fencing has been redone. This area here, with the help of Davey, one of our workaway friends, was all redone as well because it was all sunken in and debris. We've got a little more work to do. We've got the step to build, but all the new fencing has gone up and it looks so much better. All of the trees and bushes and overgrowth behind the pool we took down quite early on because it was just choking the whole of that area, and just leaves everywhere. So all that went, and all the horrible fencing went, which we burnt quite early on. It's very satisfying. So this whole area's had a makeover. This area up here, done a lot of clearing up here to create space for us to stack all the wood, and that in itself has been a massive job. I mean, felling trees, logging trees, splitting logs, moving logs, stacking logs. It's just huge, but we're starting to get stores now of wood for us, and therefore eventually we will just be able to survive all year round if needs be. Our wood stores, hopefully not in the summer because it's lovely. Coming back down from the pool, the track needed some work. Need some work again, but you know, it's a never-ending thing. We started work on clearing some of this back. There was a lot of debris outside the cottage, but mostly there was a huge amount of water on the track, and that needed investigating. It was just, you couldn't walk from here to our house without having wellies on. And the reason for that is that the drainage was just blocked, everywhere blocked. So you can't see it because it's been done now, but underneath all of here, underneath the ground everywhere, so much drainage has gone in. Andy's dug up so many areas and put in so many land drains, and the difference it's made to how wet the whole area was is astonishing. There's land drains all under here that weren't there before. There's land drains all down the side of the track, all down the edge of this. We put in this curbing as well to retain the driveway. We created this space here, not finished yet, but then it wouldn't be yet, would it? You can just see, and that's the parking space for the cottage. You can just see there one of the caps for the drains, but they crisscross all across here as well in order to keep the water that comes down off these hills and that off the track. I built a well, I found a well, and I built a well. Obviously it's a little overgrown at the moment, but it's winter, so you can forgive me. We recovered the smaller of the 2 mill ruins because it was full. It was full of trees, it was full of brambles, it's a bit of a theme. The whole of this area in front was just a swamp because rather than deal with the drainage properly, they had just dug a big hole which had filled with water. We took down from the other side of this 4 trees that were pushing the wall over and opened this whole area out. There's drainage all the way down this side of the track. We took all of the greenery off this lovely bedrock in order to be able to see it properly. One of the earliest things we did was we dealt with how dark and wet it was in this area. And doing that, we actually took down a huge amount of these very dark laurels from all across here. And what it's doing is it's giving us eventually what will be a stunning view of the lake. And that's a whole other project. This was all full. This was full with soil. And you can see now that all of this running water in here is the water that was on the track. And now it's going where it should go, which is into the lake. So this whole area here got opened up. It got opened up to give us a lot more light in this area, and just a lot drier. The lake is a huge project, but oh my God, how far have we come? This whole area here was just full. It was full of trees, it was full of debris. There's still a lot of soil to move, but we're working on it. There's still stumps to come out, we're working on it, and we still got to dam it off. But eventually you'll be able to see a beautiful lake, and the view is going to be fabulous. We had to spend quite a bit of time in this area here because again the bramble had taken over some masses of it, and when we recovered the land and we could see what was behind it, this is when we realised that there was a potential access to the back of the other mill ruin, which I'll come to in a minute. So this is going to be a wetland area. So the idea is that we're creating a walkway across here which will join us up to the area you can see a little bit further down. And that was another place that we recovered that was absolutely choked with bramble. So one of these days this will look like one of those wooden walkways through a reeded wetland area. I'm looking forward to that, and you'll be able to see as you walk through it, and see bits of the mill that we keep finding. Be able to see the back of the mill much more clearly. We haven't as yet figured out what to do with it. We've been finding huge pieces of mill workings, and again we're thinking always about what we can do with them. Back of the mill ruin. It's an incredible building, and it's so sad that it has ended up like this, and we have to at some point figure out what we're going to do. We don't know yet. But this section here, again, was choked with bramble. That big pile in the middle is going to get burnt and will go, but for now, the difference is incredible. We couldn't walk through here. There were plenty of places we couldn't walk through. But all of this got cleared over the summer, and it meant that what we can do now is walk all the way around the edges of the riverbank. They're creating places that you can sit and contemplate life, and just making spaces that we didn't know we had. And it's lovely. It's lovely to be able to find these places. So this actually now is turning into one of my favourite spots. And when the river's really low, you've got access over there to what is our other woodland. We'll talk about that some other time. So, big mill ruin. Plans for that? Don't know yet though. So we're coming across from what we call the beach area, and it would be a lot easier to explain why it's called the beach area if you could see the beach. Water's too hot. Stone sluice for the big mill. So this is going to be part of the lake project, which will get blocked off. But again, all of this area here has been built up with mud and soil that's come out of the lake, just to give us a better walk area. This is still a big project. We've cleared a huge amount of debris out of here just that we can get a feel for what's going on inside the mill ruin. And obviously at some point we will take some advice on how we can make this structure a safe one and hopefully retain it for as long as possible. And that's a big project. Millstones. They used to be on the first floor of this building. I can only imagine the noise they made when they came down. So, part of the lake, coming across the sluice bridge now to the island. And this will again give us a lovely view of our house from the lake when it's properly installed. We've got 3 mill races over there, which will also form part of the lake project because they will get blocked up to retain the water in here on a more permanent basis, as will this stone bridge area here. But it's hard to imagine how congested that was when we arrived. This area as well, couldn't walk along here at all. The whole of this area covered in bushes, little trees, bramble, always bramble. Whopping great tree on the edge, which recently got a new arrival. It's the fairy gate. Now this area here does spend some time underwater, but you know, it's the nature of living next to a river. But the fact that we can walk around it now is just incredible. You know, to think that the whole area was covered in bramble and debris and you name it. So we've got some work to do here to smooth this whole area out. We will, along with everything else. Over the other side of the river, as you walk down, you're essentially mirroring the length of the woodland we also own on that side. And that's a whole other project. We'll worry about that some other time. Yeah. So yes, lots and lots of work done on clearing ground and recovering areas that we couldn't see before. Going to walk down to one area that didn't exist when we got here, and that is the land bridge. Now Andy's built this land bridge from mud and soil from the lake excavation. A little bit more work to do, and it needs to be a bit wider so it's not quite so scary when you drive vehicles over it. But it's essentially connected the island to the other side, and it means that we've now got a complete route round, and you'll have lovely views of the lake from both ends when it's full. This is the old river entrance, so when it floods here it comes through here all the way across, runs back out the other side. So we are managing in terms of knowing where the floodwaters are, and a lot of that was because it flooded so badly last year. In one respect it was quite useful to know where all the water would be. This whole area here, again, hard to imagine that you can walk in it. You can walk anywhere here. There were some very strange piles, very deliberate piles of dirt banked up here in a square. We have no idea why, but obviously we've now flattened that. But this whole section here, down to that tree line and to the sort of fern line that you can see is ours. The field beyond actually doesn't belong to us. But all of this was bramble, all of it. When we spoke to the people that own that field behind, they came and turned it into hay, or hay bales one day. He told us that he hadn't seen this ground for 30 years. The other side of the river, that's still our woodland. Still our woodland. It is lovely over there, it's very Amazonian, but it's for another time. So all of this, that line there, that natural line there, and then up the path up there, there's more of our woodland there. And all of this we've cleared of bramble. So sometimes we have to step back and understand, although we may not have finished the renovations on the cottage, there is a reason for that. And the amount of work that we've actually done on this land has been astonishing, actually, when we actually bother to think about where we were when we got here. So we're really chuffed. It's necessary sometimes to take stock because it's all too easy when you're in the middle of it all and you forget how much you've done. And actually people that we have known for a while, that have known this place before we got here, just blown away by how open it is and how light it is. Apart from today it's raining, but how dry it is. And yeah, sometimes it does need a... Anyway, I'm going to do a video of the cottage and then take you through all the renovations we've done there. We haven't as yet started work on our house, but we will.